There are two reasons why it is hard for me, or anyone for that matter, to believe that we are not the doers. Number one, we do not have good memory of our actions. There is a continuum of actions. So millions and millions of actions that we take over time. There are certain things that we remember. But many of the other things we don't remember. So we tend to think that only actions we took are the ones that we remember. And we tend to attribute the outcomes of those actions to us. I did this, therefore it happened. Whether it's a pleasant one or an unpleasant one. Generally, the unpleasant ones are the ones that keep gnawing at our brain. The second reason is we also do not follow the chain of events that an action has led to. So you take an action that leads to an outcome, that outcome leads to another outcome, the butterfly effect, as they might say. We cannot follow it. So we tend to think that everything happened because of that one action. A small anecdote from my own life. It may not be completely relevant, nevertheless, it came to my mind today. When I was a young student in my early 20s, when I first moved to this continent, I was a student and I had classmates, and there was this young woman who used to be good friends with me, who used to sit always next to me. She would teach me, correct my accent rather. I spoke with a very strong Tamilian accent, and I would help her with math. So it was sort of a good relationship. About the end of that semester, one day, I came late. I usually come early to class, but I came late. And there was another girl standing right outside of the door. And for some reason, she was standing there. She was a smoker, perhaps. I don't know what was the reason she was there. As I came in, and she said, "Hey." And so we started. I said hello, and I stood there for a second. We started talking. And she said, I think Linda likes you. You should ask her out, meaning you should try to go to the next step in the relationship. As a young man, I was not thinking that well, and some amount of rudeness in my behavior. So I blurted out, "Oh, she's too fat." I did not realize Linda was already sitting inside the classroom, and she could hear. So the semester was over. I could see the apparent frustration and some sorrow. When I went in, I tried to deny that I had said something very rude, and I sort of hoped that she wouldn't have heard that. But that was not the case, apparently. So the semester ended. She didn't come back during summer because there are not too many classes. But she also did not come back in the fall that year so she had moved on to some other university. However, during that Christmas, that year, all the classmates and everybody had arranged a party and they had invited me, so I was there. And in that party, I noticed a young, very good-looking lady walk by. And it struck me that, who is this? It looks like someone I know. But I couldn't recognize, of course, you have guessed. Within a few minutes, she and a very handsome, tall young man approached me together. And Linda said, "Ramesh, meet my fiancé." And I thought that was the end of it. And she had lost a lot of her weight. And I felt like, oh, the word I spoke, which I really regretted, has led to this. Years passed, sometime recently, a few years ago, I was organizing a session at a conference. And at the end of that session, another young lady in her early 20s walked to me. Remember, this is almost 35 years later. And she said, "I think my mother knows you." And then we started speaking a little bit, and I learned that this was the daughter of Linda, and she somehow recognized me from the name and the stories that she had heard. So we spoke, and that was the end of it. I kept thinking after that. So all of this, are they due to my action? In this case, I can follow the chain of events. I came late. My friend was standing outside, another friend. She asked me a question. Irrelevant, though. But I answered rudely without thinking. Someone else heard who got affected by that. And so she had a determination. She went on to do whatever, it takes. And that led to this and that. And then now she has a beautiful daughter, and she became a statistician and came to one of my sessions and met with me again, full circle. That action not only led one person's life, my life itself changed. Who is the doer of that action? Obviously, it is not me. Obviously, it is not Pat who was standing outside the door. Everything is divinity. I have my own family, and there's a child and new relatives and all that. So that is being predetermined. So that's one example. So that's what is said in the next two verses, 11 and 12, in the Bhagavad Gita. The learned do all their actions with their body, mind, thoughts, and all the senses only with the goal of purifying their soul. Not thinking I'm going to change someone's life or I'm going to benefit materially. None of that. The learned ones, learned in here is the knowledge that I have been always talking about. In my understanding, it is the knowledge about divinity and self. So in the next verse, continues, by attributing all their actions themselves, not just the outcomes, actions themselves to divinity, the learned attain peace. On the other hand, driven by desire for material benefits and ego, maybe, the ignorant ones think all the actions are done by them, and so they never are in peace.